Shomrabyug.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Michael and Benjamin's podcast. Welcome back to 109 episodes of Michael and Benjamin's podcast in the tiny room. I'm the Michael of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, and I'm joined by the man who, in a surprise twist, turned out to be not that bad all along. It's Benjamin.
Again, with the strange backhanded compliments, but okay.
Yeah, but
fair
what
enough.
I'm saying is everybody thought you were a bad bloke, but then
I actually am.
In a
Just
bloody-
nice to you
in a bloody surprise twist,
and your good lady friend.
You're
I'm
all
just
right.
not mean to you two.
Benjamin,
Yes.
your opinion of my good lady friend has decreased greatly today when you found out that she's really enjoying season 6 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, and also I got a sick burn from your good lady friend today. She absolutely wrecked my life.
Yeah.
But yeah, bloody, she can't wait for the next episode. I just thought she was a woman of taste and caliber, and
No, she loves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
no, she loves Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
You know what else she loves, Ben?
Go on.
When you insert the theme music.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music, but I hope someone will mix them up for us. I don't wanna name any names. Rachel, I hope it's Rachel.
Yeah, it's still funny. That's good. That's still very good. Benjamin,
What?
in this week's news, there's been a Twitter backlash about the Punisher.
Oh, I bet it's a police officer acting the mick.
It's some police. Ben, look, I don't really care about American politics. Get out of here, American politics.
You're going to really
But-
hate this week's Collecting Issues episode.
Oh, very good. Excellent. It's about an American cop man, a chief cop man, maybe a chief of the cops.
The chief
or
of the cops.
chief lieutenant of cops.
A hard-ass lieutenant on the grind.
And he has asked people to tweet or Insta the Punisher blue line symbol in support of some officers who are being investigated for something.
Fuck off.
Ben, I've only half read this story, really.
Yes, I can tell. No, it's interesting that you mentioned this because 2 weeks ago in the Punisher comic,
Mhm.
there was a rather meta reference
Mm.
to this phenomenon in the thing where the Punisher is talking to some officers
Mm-hmm.
and he spots his logo on the car,
Yeah.
on the police car, and he goes, what the hell is this?
What's that? What are you doing, guys?
And they go, oh, well, we're just part of a club. And then they get him to show him, and it's two officers with selfies and, you know, dressed up like the Punisher with the
Mhm.
T-shirt. And he takes the sticker off and he rips it up and he goes, if you want a role model yourselves on Captain America. I do what I do for completely different reasons. You took an oath. Don't you dare think that you're like me,
No.
because you took the opposite thing.
Sounds
So it was a
tense.
real thing. It was a real middle finger from the people who were writing the Punisher being
Yeah.
like, no.
Creatives don't really like it. Also, Ben, you know, we did a whole episode on this once, but we can't remember
We
which
can't remember which
it was.
episode we did. So what you should do is listen to all the Michael
All
and
the
Benjamin
episodes. Maybe skip some of those early ones with the sound.
Yeah, they're not so great.
But look, listen, as I said then, and I'll say it again now, it reminds me of that Mitchell and Webb sketch where the Germans in black uniforms are wearing the skulls and they say, "Are we the baddies?"
Yeah.
How do people wearing a Punisher symbol not think they might be the baddies?
It's just not a good symbol.
Like, it's not a symbol of protection, Ben.
I remember one day, not so long ago, Michael, where you wore your Punisher t-shirt without thinking, and you went outside and had something of an existential crisis.
I did. I thought
You said, this isn't very representative of me.
I have a shaved head, Ben, and a beard, and I could easily be mistaken for a neo-fascist of some sort.
Yeah, it wasn't the best choice.
No, it wasn't.
I was quite surprised to see you wear it, because you're an in-universe merchandise kind of guy.
I'm a Captain America here.
Yes, but that could be in reference to the death of Captain America in the blip,
He didn't die.
or the snap. Well, nobody else knows that, though, do they?
Yes, they do, Ben.
No, surely that was hushed up.
No, we all know that.
Surely that was hushed to fuck.
Anyway, Ben, speaking of things being hushed up, you know what's very interesting? Spycraft.
What's that now?
The craft of spies.
The Craft of Spies.
Espionage.
Thought it was a new game that the kids were playing.
No, espionage. It's also
Espionage.
known as, or,
Espionage.
the game of hoods and winks. I think I've made that up possibly.
Definitely.
Anyway,
It's quite good,
Ben,
though.
Anyway, look, last Wednesday for Wednesday Night Cinema Club, you were afflicted by a severe bout of coward's blood.
I came down most heavily with coward's blood.
You did. You got a dose of the yellow fever.
Yes.
Um,
Yellow belly fever.
The yellow belly
if you will.
fever and the coward's blood. Anyway, you didn't go to see Anna, the film Anna, by Luc Besson.
No, I didn't.
So we had to go without you.
Okay.
Without you.
Without me.
Yes.
But you went with noted friends of the podcast, Jim and Shane.
Jim and Shane, friends of the podcast, and we went to see Anna, Ben. Do you remember the film Red Sparrow?
Yeah.
Did you see that?
No.
Okay, so it's going to be hard to compare this. Then.
There is a great mini video on Red Sparrow made by Michael himself here.
Yeah, I made that, remember?
If you want to check it out, that's also on our podcast backlist.
Imagine if, Ben, the film Red Sparrow, which you haven't seen, so you'll find it hard to imagine, but imagine.
We'll give it a go.
Imagine if the film Red Sparrow lacked the courage of its grim convictions. And then you would have the film Anna.
So you could say that Anna came down with a case of coward's blood.
I mean, Anna, I found out recently, was made in 2017.
Oh.
And released in 2019.
Oh.
And part of the reason that it wasn't released in 2018 was probably because of Red Sparrow.
But he clipped it.
Because they are narratively and thematically almost identical.
Oh.
But Red Sparrow is a lot more grim.
As
Anna,
it should be.
Well, should it be? There was a lot of rape in Red Sparrow. There was a lot of rape and a lot of the sexy bits were suitably grim and
She had to put herself through it, kind of
uncomfortable. Yeah. Whereas the sexy bits in Anna were presented as sexy bits.
Who's the character that we all... Oh, Cillian Murphy's in
Cillian
Anna,
Murphy's in it, yeah. Dracula himself, Luke Evans.
Oh, Luke Evans. Lukey Evs.
Helen Mirren is in it for some reason.
Okay, that's weird.
Playing a Russian endamode.
Okay, fair enough.
It's very strange. The lead is... Her name is... What's her name? Anna Lulz? She's a model / actress.
/ super spy.
Super spy / No, the real woman's not a spy, I don't think.
Oh.
No, I don't think so. And it's very, very, very similar to Red Sparrow.
Yes.
It's about a lady
who
gets recruited by the KGB.
Mm-hmm. The KGB.
The KGB, yeah. It's like that bee who stung you, Ben, a KGB.
Bloody hell, he was a very KGB.
Yeah. Ben
still
got stung,
feel bad about
everybody, on the neck by a KGB. Anyway, look, Ben, what was I saying? She gets recruited. That's a good joke. She got stung on the neck by the KGB. No, she got recruited by... You got stung on the neck. She got recruited by the KGB. And then she goes off and has some sexy adventures. But every couple of minutes, Ben, it goes 3 months later.
Oh,
and then you see the same events, but with extra information.
I hate jumps like that.
The first time it did it, we sat in the cinema going, yeah, we know. We got it. Yeah, she's a spy. We know what we're going to see. Let's say the first 15 minutes accumulates? No. Yeah, accumulates in... her shooting a guy. Culminates, that's the word I'm looking for. It's so rare that you tell me a word.
Yes, very rare.
The 15 minutes, say that again?
Culminates.
Yeah, KGB. I just imagine a bee, like, where were you? I'm not saying.
I ain't saying nothing. You can't make me talk.
Don't know why he's a 19... Surely he should be Russian rather than...
Buzz off.
Yeah. I will not tell you. I was with friends.
I was with comrades, friends. I was with friends.
Yes. Why are you asking so many questions of me? What am I doing? KGB. No, yeah. So Ben, the first 15 minutes accumulates. Have I got that wrong again? Accumulates? No, culminates. The first 15 minutes culminates in her shooting a man in the head, and then we see 3 months earlier, and it goes back, and we see it all happening again, but this time with the knowledge that she's a spy, a spion, and then that's the whole film. Something happens, and then we see it again, but with extra information, and then something happens, and then we see it again, but with extra information. The trailers lied to us a bit, Ben. The trailers told us it was a John Wick, but with a lady.
Yes, that's what I understood.
It's not a John Wick, but with a lady. There are only 2 fight scenes, and only one of them really had the oomph in it, which is the one in the restaurant where she's kicking a man in the head,
which we see in the trailer.
We don't see all of it in the trailer. It's a pretty extended fight scene, but also it's no John Wick. The lady who plays Anna is no Keanu Reeves.
Keanu Reeves, she is not, and they make a lot of... You have to make a lot of concessions when you're having a woman who probably weighs about 50 kilos beating up 6 or 7 100-kilo bodyguards. Very, very big men.
Yeah, so like she'll flip a man by the ankle and he'll do a triple somersault and land on the table.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
How'd you do that?
I don't know, physics.
What kind of physics is she working with?
Luc Besson physics.
Besson physics.
Luc Besson, Ben, is the director behind the film. He's already made it once. It was called La Femme Nikita,
Yeah,
but now it's back.
that's what he makes though. He just makes sexy
Lady films.
assassin films.
Yeah. Another weird thing about it. This was really unsettling.
Oh no.
It's set in the late 80s, early 90s.
Like Atomic Blonde,
Yes, like the film Atomic Blonde, which was
which
better.
was what I thought it was.
It's Atomic Blonde. It takes a weird, bizarre turn for the comedic as well at some points. It's very grim and serious for a lot of it, and then they'll do a close up of a man who's supposed to be spying on her, and he's stretching his legs before going for a run, but it zooms in on him with a funny little musical note, and you go, "Is this a comedy now?"
But that's a classic Besson thing where Besson can't make up his mind.
It's look, it would be hard to call it a good film. Anyway, what was I saying?
What is the last good film that Luc Besson made?
Valerian and the City of a
That was
Thousand
not
Worlds.
a good film.
Was that Luc Besson or Jean Reno?
No, it's Luc Besson.
What was I saying? Yes, it's set in the late 80s, early 90s. But poor Russian people have laptops. And laptops with like Windows 97 running on them. And people have Nokia 3310s.
That's not accurate.
And they download things onto USBs, Ben. The USB standard wasn't invented in 1996. And it didn't become widespreadly popular until about 2002.
So you're saying that it's really what took you out of this film was not the comedic notes or the slightly forced perspective with regards to Russian assassins, bodybuilding, and KGBs.
Yeah.
What really took you out of this was anachronisms.
There were a lot of anachronisms. It was almost set in the world of Archer, where
I fucking love Archer.
yeah, Archer's very good, but it felt like it was set in the world of Archer, where it was the 80s, but anything that would cause an inconvenience in doing a 2000s plot
Is glossed.
is glossed over, and like, how are we going to get the data? And just stick it on a USB. It doesn't matter. No one's going to know.
No one's going to care.
How is she going to delete the CCTV footage? Is she going to delete the tapes? Nah, just take out the hard drive. There was no hard drive CCTV in 1989.
Don't you lie to me, Archer.
You bloody liar. But anyway, it's not. She's a very attractive lady, the lady who's in there, and I mean,
I think that's all Luc Besson has going for him in movies these days.
that is the main point.
He
of it,
gets
I feel.
the it people
Yeah,
at the time.
I think she'll get another shot, as they say.
Will she though? If it was made in 2017, has her star not already faded?
I don't know. Maybe
or shall it be relaunched?
She's being a Russian. She was a much more convincing Russian than noted non-Russian Jennifer Lawrence. So at least the Russian scenes were in Russian.
This seems to be a thing with Jennifer Lawrence these days.
Go on.
For example, the original Mystique is much better as a noted non-Mystique Jennifer Lawrence.
I don't think Rebecca Romaine Stamos was an actual shape-shifting mutant.
Oh, she was.
Oh.
Yeah. It was weird that her career didn't take off more. You'd think she'd be perfect. Or did it, and we just don't know.
Very good.
Shape-shifting.
But I mean, it did. She's quite famous. She's in Star Trek Discovery.
Oh, okay.
Rebecca Romaine, she's very famous. Her career did take off.
Well, good for her.
Yeah.
I'm delighted.
I think she was in Charlie's Angels, The Witches of Eastwick. Was that a TV series?
Oh, it was, yeah.
Was she in that?
Yeah.
I think she
Did
was.
you see the new trailer for Charlie's Angels?
Yes, I've been trying to reverse troll Elizabeth Banks's Twitter account.
Why, have people giving her shit?
No, but
good.
I have been trolling her by saying, give it up with these all-female remakes. No one wants to see them. And only a few people have taken the bait. And then when people take the bait, I explain to them the joke of the situation is that Charlie's Angels was always. And I actually will go see the film because I like action comedies. So I've made a few new Twitter friends.
By explaining your bit over and over.
By explaining the bit to people who get annoyed at me.
Good.
It's a very small percentage of people who are taking the bait because...
It's also a very small percentage of people who I imagine would accept your response. Respect your explanation.
People seem all right with it, actually.
Yeah, it looks interesting.
Does it?
Yeah.
It's another Sexy Ladies Doing a Thing film. It looks like it's going to be less exploitative, though, because it has feminists.
Which is a good thing.
It depends on what you want from your Charlie's Angels. Charlie's Angels was popular, not among ladies originally, among dads. Charlie's Angels was for dads.
Right.
And their dads aren't going to go see this new one because Kristen Stewart is in it. Well, some dads might go to see it.
I often think of the terrible rumours about Lucy Liu and Bill Murray that came out from the mid-2000s.
Because they didn't like each other?
Yeah, they hated each other.
I think they did hate each other, though. I don't know if they're rumours. They just didn't like each other.
Didn't like each other. I think he said he was the worst actress he'd ever worked with.
Oh.
Which is a bit harsh coming from Bill.
They're both still alive, aren't they?
But I don't know. Bill Murray's still going strong.
Yeah, no harm done.
Still doing great work.
Lucy Liu is Watson in that Detective Watson thing.
in that BBC ripoff.
So they both done all right.
Yeah, they're doing fine.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better, Michael.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
people are allowed to, you don't really keep track of people once they've appeared in the thing.
Yeah. So in terms of dealing with KGBs, any advice there? Right? Because I seem to have...
Just don't give them any secrets.
Don't give them any secrets because they'll give them away.
Speaking of Russians and the KGB, Ben, have you been watching Stranger Things season 3?
Yes. I haven't finished it, but we can go full spoilers. I don't.
Yeah, come on. Ben.
I don't particularly
It's been
care.
out 2.5 weeks.
It's a weaker season.
Disagree wholeheartedly.
Okay, cool. Well, that'll be interesting.
I think it's the best season so far,
Really?
including the first one.
Strong statement.
Yes.
Cinematically, I think they've really hit a stride.
Oh, I forgot I was watching television the other day.
Yeah, no, cinematically, it's really hit its own stride.
It's incredible that what they've done.
Millie Bobby Brown hasn't changed at all. Still Millie Bobby Brown. She's louder this time.
Well, remember, Millie Bobby Brown is a tiny little English woman. So
Millie Bobby Brown isn't English, is she?
She is.
Is Millie Bobby Brown English?
She's a tiny little
She
English
plays a
woman.
lot of Americans for
She
a little
does,
English woman.
but that's what I'm saying. Isn't that amazing that she's done such a good job of creating that character when
Well, I'll
in
have to
reality
take that back now.
she's a bit of a Hermione Granger in real life.
Oh.
It's like, hello, I'm Millie Bobby Brown.
Oh, okay.
Hello.
She's getting a lot of abuse, which isn't cool.
Well, who's she getting abuse from?
She's getting...
Charlie's Angels fans.
There's a lot of interesting stuff happening on the internet lately with meme culture and stuff like that. And now a new meme format seems to be that people can just take a celebrity's account and create a fake tweet and use that as a joke of some kind.
Oh, that's good, yeah. Mean culture, more like it.
Yeah, I suppose. And I think what's gone wrong there is that there are a lot of... For some reason, people decided to make slightly homophobic tweets under her account as a joke.
Yeah, good, yeah, that's funny.
And as you so aptly pointed out in your reverse trolling, some people take the bait.
Yeah, some people are...
But you're not famous, Michael, so less people are inclined to take the bait.
I could be famous.
Whereas Millie Bobby Brown
is
the hot topic item at the moment. And she's getting
call a
abuse.
teenage girl an item.
Oh. Here we go. But she's getting a lot of abuse that is unjustly deserved. She didn't say anything, but people seem to think she said something, and they're attacking her Twitter and stuff like that, calling her homophobe and stuff like that, which I think is terrible for a young lady.
Twitter is a cesspool of scum and villainy. Just
fucking awful.
Stay out of Twitter. Unless you're in Twitter specifically for that reason, which is the reason Twitter exists.
Yeah, it's just for angry people to feel like they matter.
Yeah, just everyone having a shout and a give out about things. Leave
Good.
alone. Who cares about Twitter?
It'll be great when the world ends, won't it?
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown's very good. I like how 11L, as she's now called, is gradually learning to speak.
Yeah, it's clipping things together.
She's getting closer to full sentences. Still not full sentences, but she's getting closer because she was isolated for years.
Massively stunted.
Yeah, it's a very good series. It's a little bit more slap-a-stick.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a comedy element pushed in. But again, they're embracing the era that they're kind of taking on because we've moved full on 80s now. Yeah, we're out of the 70s nostalgia.
No, it was
vibes.
always 80s, Ben.
I'd say, was it always 80s?
80s. I mean, Stranger Things was... Its raison d'etre was to be an 80s homage from the beginning.
Fair enough. In that case, season 1 is the early 80s stuff, and now we're hitting peak neon 80s. And malls.
Back to the future.
Back to the futuring. And sexy lifeguards causing tense situations for people until you realise they're possessed by a demon entity from another planet or another dimension. You know.
The usual.
Classic.
It's
classic
like,
stuff.
It's, but it is very good. It's very enjoyable. And it doesn't, unlike previous years... It doesn't have any slower episodes. There are no lags in the middle.
No Lost Sister fucking episodes that we don't talk about.
Oh no, not that one.
So we avoided that this year, which is very good stuff. Very good stuff all around. But overall, I don't know. I just felt it was missing some of the oomph that the original two had. Look, that's natural. It's a third season. We're now doing a lot more fan service than we would have been doing prior to that. And we get a bit more of that. I think the Russians are an interesting addition.
Well, the Russians are a key addition.
Yeah.
The Russians are essentially the baddies this year. How far in are you?
Fine. I'm on episode 4.
Okay.
4.
Keep going. It's very good.
Keep going.
Yeah,
okay,
keep
finish
going.
it up.
It's very good. Finish it up. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up there.
Wrap it up.
No, it's interesting to see all those reactions, the relationship building, that kind of thing. Finn Wolfhard has his own clothing line.
Does he?
Yeah. I nearly bought a t-shirt until I checked the name. Always check the name, Michael. And then I was like, I'm not wearing a Stranger Things t-shirt. That's strange.
Why not?
Because I'm a bigot.
Oh, bigoted against what?
Stranger Things.
That seems odd. Finn,
Some people are racist, some people are sexist, so I don't like Stranger Things.
one of the good things about Stranger, but you just said you do.
Yeah, I love the first 2 seasons. They were
Pick a
great.
bloody character, Ben, and stick with it.
No. Inconsistency is my new thing.
Well, is it? Well,
It's not that new.
Is it new?
Fuck you. Oh, God, I hate the summer. Okay.
What are we talking about?
Stranger Things. Very
Yeah,
good.
no,
What
it's
are you enjoying about Stranger Things? Because I've spun my wheels there for a few minutes.
It's very good, Ben. It's very enjoyable. It's fast moving. There are lots of little twists. You've got unusual character pairings and new interactions. It's not grim and sad.
Steve's back.
Steve's back. Steve the Hare Harrington.
Steve there.
Steve
What a guy.
Steve is absolutely great.
What a mensch.
I mean, they took everything that people liked about season 2 and said, let's make a whole season of that. So people really liked Steve and Dustin.
That's what I mean with regards to the fan service. The writers are really like, okay, we have an identity now. There are memes being made about our character pair. Like, we can just lean into this now and really give it a push. Because, like, the first season is very much like, okay, we have to make a name for ourselves. This is a big risk for Netflix. Blah, 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 blah. But then we get to season 2 and it's like, okay, we're hitting a stride now. Now we can do our own thing a little bit more, push it a little bit more. And I think season 3 is just really the logical thing of, well, people love us. Let's give them what they want.
I think season 2 is the weakest season because of what you just said, that they didn't really do their own thing. They did more of the same thing in season 2. Season 3 feels a little different.
The Mind Flayer.
Well, the Mind Flayer was in season 2 as well, obviously, but
Well, not very towards the end, though, wasn't it?
it was the looming threat of the whole season that never really paid off. The Mind Flayer is just this evil consciousness from the other.
It is a really
from the
horrific
upside down.
D&D character, though.
Mind Flayer.
They're all from D&D, as you know. When you have like the Demogorgon and stuff like that, they're all from D&D listing books. But the Mind Flayer is a particularly terrifying entry into the
What does he
the
do?
D&D canon. He literally takes over people's minds. That's what he does. That's why he's called the Mind Flayer, and he
then
makes them
sticks
do
his finger-
horrific things.
Like sticks their finger up their own butt.
Yeah, I mean, I guess he does stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's like a mystical
What a
purple
creep.
man from Jessica Jones. But yeah, so it's interesting that we have all these possession arcs and things like that coming through in the new season.
Ben, look, shut up for a second.
Sorry, yeah, go on.
Spider-Man on a track. Spider-Man Far From Home. It's on track to make $1 billion.
I'm glad you finished your sentence because I thought you were having a stroke there for a second. I was like, oh no!
It's probably going to make $1 billion at the box office.
That's big, isn't it?
It's
How much do they spend on it?
relatively little.
Oh,
It's one of the cheapest superhero films to make so far from Marvel.
good for him.
Yeah, well, they didn't have to pay Robert Downey Jr.
That helps.
Yeah, I think
That
it
does
helped to the
help.
tune of about 50 million. So
Yeah.
I think it cost about 50 million less to make
Well, that's-
than Homecoming.
That's a saving.
And it's going to make $1 billion. That means every film that Marvel have released this year has made at least $1 billion.
Is a topper. Yeah,
Isn't that weird?
that is weird.
It's time for cultural hegemony.
And this is only 2 weeks in, isn't it? Like this is
3.
only- is it 3 now?
Yeah.
3 now. I went to see it again, Michael.
Did you?
As you know.
Well, you're contributing to it. I didn't know that. Did I know that?
Well, I to do with something that's not to do with this
Oh,
podcast. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
I went to see it again.
yeah.
Bloody good second viewing. Very enjoyable. Very easy to watch a second time, Michael. Very
Well,
easy to
as I
watch a
said,
second
Ben,
time.
not terribly narratively complex.
No, but I think
Not as narratively complex as the film Anna.
3 months later. Jake Gyllenhaal, just what a guy.
He's a real
What a
prick,
man.
isn't he?
It's so amazing to watch that transition from villain to hero a second time because he plays it that transition from hero to villain a second time. He plays it so well.
Because he's a real slimy slime ball.
But he isn't at the beginning. He's a real goody good two shoes.
But that's how slimy a slime ball he is.
Yeah, he's real
Invincibly goody good shoes.
snake in the grass.
So Ben, on a second viewing then, how do you think the scene where he flies up and talks to Peter about being a superhero, how did he achieve that?
That's a good question, isn't it? Because we don't know. But judging from the fact that Peter can be completely fooled by the illusions, it's perfectly plausible that he may have just transitioned in from behind him
Just stepped in from
on the
behind,
roof. Yeah,
covered
and
by a hologram.
covered by a hologram. Because
And
the
then
the holograms are essentially MacGuffins in the Spider-Man movie, where you don't have to deal with the reality of what a hologram would actually do. And he seems to be able to do just about anything with the illusions
With the holograms.
that he puts up. Remember, he masks an entire train so that Peter steps on the track and gets...
Well, he masked the entire world, essentially, when
Yeah.
Peter's in the brain prison.
So I think he can pretty much get away with whatever he likes.
What a prick.
Yeah, what a prick. The internet's all aflutter about the fact that does Peter have Spider-Man sense? And he's like, yes, he does. It just
He definitely does. It's called Peter
he
Tingle.
definitely does. It's called the Peter Tingle. Also, we see it in Infinity War.
I heard a good theory
Go on.
that the Iron Spider suit and even
That's
the Star...
my theory.
Is that your
I
theory?
gave you that last week.
Was that you?
Yeah.
I thought I heard
the
that
suit's
somewhere else.
dampening his spider. Get the
Was it
fuck
you who
out
said
of here.
that?
That was me. Go listen to the episode.
Oh, that's good, isn't
I
it?
heard it here. Get the fuck.
Well, that's good.
Get
That's
the
the first
fuck.
time you've ever said something that I've gone, oh, that's good. I might steal that for myself.
Oh, you prick.
Ben, shut up for a second. No, don't.
You were a Boldie
Um,
all along, you
Ben-
son of a bitch.
Yeah, so Mysterio. Wow, you took that compliment poorly, didn't you? Ben Mysterio, he turned out to be a Boldie. The whole time he was a Boldie. Isn't that interesting?
Isn't it just? And it got us thinking, Michael. It got us thinking here at the Michael and Benjamin's podcast.
Is it the Michael and Benjamin's podcast?
It got us thinking at the Michael and Benjamin's
You've
podcast.
done it again. You've said the same thing. I don't know if that's what it's called.
It got us thinking at the podcast.
Yeah, or the tiny room.
Or the tiny room. About the
www.chumberbjork.com.
many times that we've had an L wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, a twist.
A twist. What a twist.
A man who was a Boldie.
So we were thinking
Or a
about
lady
this.
who was a Boldie.
Very often the case, a honey trap
Yeah,
or a femme fatale.
yeah.
And I think, yeah, it's interesting to kind of trace this trope as it goes back. It comes by many names.
Mhm.
He was a bad guy all along. Is the kind of modern one that we deal with a lot. But the classic one is wolf in sheep's clothing.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have, as you said yourself, the noir trope of the femme fatale or the.
Well, femme fatale is a different thing, Ben.
Okay.
That's just a sexy lady, isn't it?
Well, no, it has some elements of this bad all along thing. It depends on how well played the femme fatale was. One of my first experiences with this trope in general was GoldenEye with Pierce Brosnan.
Go on.
Well, as you know, Alec Trevelyan?
Yeah.
Alec Trevelyan,
Sean
who
Bean.
Irish people knew from the start was a bad egg because Trevelyan's in Irish history have not been good for us.
No, not
But
great,
we knew
lads.
instantly. But I didn't at the time because I was about
8.
8
No, you were younger than
when
8.
that came out. Maybe 7?
I think you weren't born when GoldenEye came out.
No, I definitely was.
I don't think you were. You keep
I
spinning your
definitely
wheels there.
was.
And I'll look it up.
1991 is when I was born.
Well,
And I think that came out in 1998.
GoldenEye.
Yeah, I think so.
You keep spinning your
I'm going
wheels.
to keep
while I
spinning my
check
wheels. But anyway, the first time I was ever experienced with this was Alec Trevelyan, and
it. 1995.
he was okay. So I was very young, but I saw it later on RTE
RT.
on
radio,
the Saturday night big movie,
radio
the big
television
movie.
era. When they had a break
Um,
in it for the news.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
God,
right.
it was awful. But broadcasting standards in Ireland, lads, just
Very-
top
very poor,
class.
yeah.
And I remember seeing the big reveal where he walks up in the strange Russian propaganda graveyard, and I was like,
He was a Boldie.
and I didn't understand it, and I was like, apparently I was very annoyed with my dad. I was like, no, he can't be because he was a good guy. And I didn't understand that sometimes people aren't always good.
Yeah,
Michael.
sometimes they're pretending.
My
Like
little
Woody.
my little 8-year-old self was just there going, no, not possible. No, he was a good guy. Can't change.
But now he's a bad guy.
Can't change. But now he's a bad guy. What?
Now, hold on a second.
Yes,
I don't really remember GoldenEye that well.
that's okay.
But was Sean Bean,
Hmm.
was he a bad guy all along?
He was.
Or did he start as a good guy and turn bad?
No. His parents were Cossacks who
Right.
were murdered, and then he was taken by MI6
Yeah.
and trained.
Right.
But he only sat through the training so he could plan his revenge with the skill set that he needed. He explained
Oh.
all this in a monologue, classic Bond monologue
Yeah.
for the villain.
Then he get pushed off a big giant satellite.
And that was that. He was great though. He had a lot of scarring and stuff. It was a good transition. I liked that transition because they marked him as evil. Very often disfigurement follows the evil trope.
Oh, that's not nice.
Well, it's just how television works, Michael. We automatically assume bad guys are disfigured and ugly. And he gets a good bit of scarring from a James Bond moment. And it's good to see that transition. He was a very handsome man prior to that.
He's Sean Bean.
Yes. He's still handsome now, I suppose.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like Sean Bean.
Alex Trevelyan's dead.
Yeah, he's
Fell
long
off
gone.
the
He's long
bloody
gone
satellite
into a
into
satellite dish.
in-
So that was my first experience with that trope,
in
Michael.
Cuba.
And you asked me an interesting question of where that trope comes from. The first
Because
time
Ben, you have a history of literary training. Remember?
I do. I went to university, Michael.
Yeah,
you
you
see.
did. You went to university. Trinity College, I believe.
Fuck you.
where you studied the arts.
I don't want to do this podcast anymore.
Okay, it's cancelled.
Get
Yay!
bullied. Basically, the first time the wolf in sheep's clothing metaphor is used is in the Bible.
The Bible?
Of all bloody places.
A great work of fiction.
Yeah, a great work of one of the top class works of fiction that has really shaped the world.
Go on.
We'll probably do an episode on that in the future. But yeah, it's one of Jesus' teachings. Beware the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's one of Jesus' teachings in the Bible. Later it came up through various Shakespearean things. I think they're a little bit more racist. There's a couple of Jewish things thrown in there.
Good Shakespeare.
To do with Shylocking and that kind of thing.
Go on.
Well, Shylock pretends to be a friend, but he never had any intention to Antonio in The Merchant of Venice. And in two ways that play is very important. One, it shows that Jews were human beings, which wasn't very representative of how they were played in London society at that time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of bloody bigotry, racial stereotyping, and Jew bashing, for lack of a better word, going on in plays of that time. But Shakespeare took the first kind of attempt at making him into a human character. But basically, Shylock offers Antonio a deal so that he can earn money for his true love.
Who's his true love?
Portia. Portia. He has
like
to pretend. He has to be. He has to pretend to be a richer man than he is, and he comes to.
Are you thinking of Aladdin?
No,
I think you're thinking of the film Aladdin.
You're thinking of the film Aladdin.
I am, yeah.
Stole that much in the way that the Lion King stole Hamlet. Okay. But it rather than a treacherous Jew being at the end of the plot, there was a big blue genie in that one. He didn't actually take his pound of flesh.
No, but the genie was nice.
Yeah, but the concept with Shylock was that he would always give this deal to Antonio and always have him fail to repay the deal. He knew from start to finish that the deal would fall through and that Antonio would make no money and that he would be able to exact his pound of flesh. So that's kind of where that really strong trope of he was a bad guy all along. It was pretty good. It's pretty good. Then that's where that kind of fails, because it turns out that the highly racist society of Venice at that time then went and gave it to the Christian anyway. The Jew didn't get his revenge. So, you know.
What? I've never read this play.
It's a great play.
What happens?
Oh, you'd love it. So basically, because Jews are so trodden on, he has an airtight contract that requires a pound of flesh in payment if he fails to make the financial payment. And a pound of flesh will kill any man if you cut it off his body. But
will it?
Shylock, it goes through the court system because he's a Christian.
That's why he hates
It's
him.
a Jew versus Christian thing. There's a whole back history to that. We don't have time to get into it today, but basically, that's what happens. But it turns out that the court system is never going to let a Christian. It's kind of like a white guy versus a black guy in court in the United States these days. Works. Are we gonna? No, we're
all right.
Yeah, so that's kind of how that works, and that's kind of where that came from. And then, as you so aptly pointed out, Michael, noir has done an awful lot for the wolf in sheep's clothing trope.
Well, it's a very common twist, isn't it?
What it is now. It's a fair bog standard twist. But
the person you bloody thought was a goodie turns out to be a baddie.
Orson Welles' Third Man is a great example of that.
Never seen it.
Oh my God, Michael! He spends his whole life, or he spends his whole trip looking for his friend who's disappeared.
I have seen
a man
it.
called Harry Lime. It's Harry Lime, I think.
Yeah.
And it turns out that he was a real dickbag all along.
Yeah, he was. But I thought when you said that your first exposure to the twist of that was a baddie all along was going to be Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
That was a real twist.
In Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, the lady turned out not to be his friend.
Not a good lady at all.
No,
that happened in a lot of Jim Carrey movies.
Jim Carrey seems to have a thing where women turn out to be evil.
The Mask as well. Do you remember the little reporter girl who turns him over to the mobsters?
Yeah, that also happens.
Yeah.
Although, Jim Carrey doesn't trust women. I don't think Jim Carrey wrote either of those.
Probably
so
not.
He's probably fine.
Probably not. He's probably okay. He probably trusts women.
Yeah. But maybe not. Ben, in honor of today's twist, I watched... or of today's topic about twist, I watched a film by the 2000s master of the twist and your favourite director to pronounce.
M. Night Shyamalan.
Very good. Yes, I didn't watch The Sixth Sense, Ben, because The Sixth Sense does have a twist, obviously, but it doesn't have a twist where someone is revealed to be the baddie all along.
Yeah, he wasn't Boldie All Along. I know which film you're talking about.
Go on.
It's bloody Unbreakable.
Lady in the Water. It's Unbreakable. No, it is Unbreakable.
Okay, I was like, okay.
No, I watched Unbreakable. I watched Unbreakable yesterday, Ben. Unbreakable is from a 2000, I think.
From a 2000. I would have been 9 years old.
My favourite thing about Unbreakable, Ben, is in the film Unbreakable, Samuel L. Jackson's character is supposed to be about 30, but in real life, Samuel L. Jackson is 50. Samuel L. Jackson plays a lot younger than he is.
That fits though. He's got a real young
He's
face.
got a useful face about him.
Yeah.
Because he's born in the 70s.
No way.
Or maybe the late 60s.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah. No, that's not the actor. That's the character.
Oh, sorry.
Real Samuel L. Jackson was born in the 50s, I think.
Holy shit.
Or maybe even the late 40s.
Holy shit.
48?
Oh my goodness.
He's so old.
Oh god damn. World War III was only over for 3 years.
2.
2 years.
No, World War II.
No, World War III.
You bloody dumbass. But anyway, Ben, if you remember, you probably don't remember, but if you remember when Unbreakable came out, it was lauded as the first good comic book film. The first comic book film that was art.
Really?
Yeah.
Gas.
I know, because it's not really a comic book film, is
not
it?
at all.
It's a comic book film by someone who doesn't really understand comic books.
You could say that about a lot of M. Night Shyamalan's films because the last Airbender was a cartoon film about someone who doesn't understand cartoons.
Yeah. And the film The Devil is in the Lift was about a man. It was about a devil being in the lift by a man who doesn't understand how lifts work.
Or devils, apparently.
Or devils, apparently. I don't think it was called The Devil is in the Lift.
But it probably is.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
Don't know.
Yes, the twist, Unbreakable. Unbreakable. Ben, one of the funny things is in Unbreakable, Mr. Glass, Samuel L. Jackson, his mother gives him a comic book at the start because his bones break very easily, you remember.
Yeah, he's a real breakable little guy.
And he doesn't want to go outside, and his mother lures him outside by putting a comic book on a bench and saying someone will take it if you don't go out and get it. And that's how she gets him to go out and interact with the world. So he can only interact with the world through the medium of comic books.
Oh, it's his saving grace, so to speak.
But it's also like it leads into the whole idea of everyone who reads comics being some sort of mad comic book recluse.
Said the two men sitting in a tiny room surrounded by action figures who do this every week with a...
Yeah, but we've got active social lives.
Kind of.
We've been to the cinema.
We've been to the cinema.
I know people who aren't you.
Do you?
I don't
Are you
know.
sure?
I don't know. It could be just you in a wig. It could be holograms.
I've been playing your whole life.
What was I saying? Yes, his mother gives him the first comic book and says, this one has a surprise ending.
Oh.
And it gives him a little wink. And then you know that the film Unbreakable is going to have a surprise ending.
Classic Shyamalan winky wink.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan.
Shyamalan. No. We're not doing that. Oh, we are. Shyamalan. What was I saying?
What a twist.
Oh, yeah. So, the movie, Ben, it's not as good as I remember. It's very slow.
It is very slow.
It's
I
very, very
distinctly
slow.
remember that.
And it's really built entirely around its twist because the it doesn't really per se have a plot.
No.
Well, there's a plot, but it's not a plot-driven film.
It's a rambly plot.
But the plot's irrelevant. The reason to watch the film is the mystery of watching David Brent trying to figure out.
That's The Office, isn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember Bruce Willis's character's name. David Brent trying to figure out if he's a superhero or not. That's it. That's the mystery.
Yeah.
And
It's a character piece.
The fun of the film is watching him like knocking on his wife's bedroom door at midnight and going, "Can you remember the last time I was sick?" And then they look at each other like, "No, I can't remember. Can you remember?" And he's like, "No, I don't remember either. Isn't that weird?" And she's like, "No, what's weird is you're not. Fuck off, David. Leave me alone, Dave." And then he's like, "How many weights can I put on this thing? Put all the weights on it, and let's see if I can do it."
Now get some paint cans. Put those on too.
Yeah, and that's it. That's the point of that film. The point of the film is figuring out if he's unbreakable or not.
And then there's a weird serial killer.
Yeah, then he fights a serial killer. He beats up the serial killer, and that's the end of it. Then
And water's his big weakness.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big weakness.
It's a pretty huge weakness. But
Pretty
M. Night
tremendous.
Shyamalan likes water as a weakness.
He does. It's his favourite.
He also liked water as a weakness in Signs, and water was also very important in Lady in the Water.
Shockingly.
Yeah, weirdly enough. But anyway, the twist, Ben, is that Mr. Glass, his friend and confidant, who is a little bit sinister anyway, but turns out to be the one behind all the accidents that have been killing everyone.
Dun, dun, dun.
But the strange thing about that twist, Ben, it's in the last scene.
Yeah, it's right at the end.
I didn't remember that.
Yeah,
from previous viewings. So
goes all the way to the bottom.
It doesn't impact the rest of the plot. It's not like Spider-Man where he then fights him and there's
resolves all
a
this.
denouement.
Yeah.
It's just like, it was me. I did it, you prick. But I did it to find out if you were unbreakable or not.
And now you are.
And you are, so that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. The sequel to that film, Glass, was shite.
I haven't seen
I
it.
watched it recently. Terrible film. Anyway, moving on from there.
Oh, we're
This
moving
trope
on,
has
are we?
been massively popular for many, many years, Michael.
Go
I
on.
think one of the ones, probably who's been getting a little bit of heat for it lately, is Disney. Disney seem to do this all the time.
Go on.
I think probably the most recent example in most people's minds is Frozen, where
Let it go.
the charming prince turns out to be a real dickbag.
Yeah,
He's snatching some power instead. And then we see it again in Rapunzel. Mother Gothel, the woman that Rapunzel has trusted her entire life as her mother, turned out to be a real dickbag.
She was a witch, wasn't she?
Yeah, the audience knew that the whole time, but Rapunzel didn't, so it broke her little heart. But this goes way, way back, Michael, to a little 2000s ditty called Atlantis, the first animated Disney film that didn't have any sing-alongs involved in it. And it turns out that Milo's entire team is a team of mercenaries hell-bent upon
Now,
pillaging.
hold on. Who's Milo?
Milo was the central protagonist in Atlantis. He's a nerdy little fella.
Are you thinking of the film Treasure Island, but Treasure Planet? I think you're thinking of the film Treasure
No,
Planet.
you're thinking of the film Treasure Planet. I'm thinking of the film Milo. No, I'm thinking of the film Atlantis, The
Right.
Lost Empire by
Right.
Disney.
And what am I thinking of again?
You were thinking of cultural appropriation, the film.
What's
oh no,
cultural-
I'm thinking of cultural appropriation, the film. Sorry, we'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But generally speaking, you're thinking of Treasure Planet, the other failed Disney animated.
Was Treasure Planet Disney?
Yeah, it was the last kind of push towards their hand-drawn animation style of things.
Yeah, it was
and
half hand-drawn, half
it
CG.
failed horribly.
It's quite good. I watched it the other week.
Yeah, but it flopped massively.
It has a twist as well. But if
What's
you
the twist?
well, the twist
Long
is
John
that
Silver?
the cook is the
Villain all
secret evil-
along. Yeah, but if anybody read Treasure Island previous
or
to
has
that,
heard of the character Long John Silver.
or has heard of the character Long John Silver, that would have fit just fine. But yeah, it's a good example of it. But it turns out all the mercenaries in Milo's little troop that he goes exploring Atlantis with
Yeah.
are bloody dickbags, and they want to pillage everything and take everything for themselves.
That's pretty common though, isn't it?
In Disney films, certainly, yes. But he didn't know they were mercenaries at the time. He thought they were a ragtag. It's interesting. Disney puts a lot of effort into giving you a red herring. He's like, oh, he's a really decent guy. He's a real good egg. He's a real this. And then it's like, oh, what? He's not a good egg. Shock. I think that's the whole thing that Disney does. There's other examples of it as well. We can see it all over comic books. I think the biggest offender lately was Hydra Captain America.
Well, look.
Well.
As Chris Hemsworth would say, was it?
Was it? Is
That's-
it though?
I contest, Ben, that's a different trope, because everything that we've discussed so far has been a self-contained story,
Fair.
which was written with a villain in disguise the whole time.
Fair.
Captain America was a very post facto twist. That would be like if we decided to do a Buffy season 10 and made it so that Giles was a demon the whole time.
That'd be real shitty.
Does it count?
Can't.
No, it clearly doesn't count because
It
it wasn't written the whole time for him to be a Boldie the whole time.
That does bring us strongly into the Whedonverse, though.
Go on.
That's a good segue. Dollhouse.
Oh, Dollhouse.
Here's a great example of that.
Dollhouse is a very strong. He was a Boldie all along.
Yeah, and he turns out to be a dickbag.
Although, doesn't he turn out to be not really then in the end? That he was... He did have humanity's interest. That we're talking about Boyd.
Oh yeah, Boyd,
Boyd.
the bodyguard.
Yeah, he turns out to be the leader of the
And Boyd
corporation
was
the whole time.
that was a great double bluff there, because everybody loved Boyd. Boyd was such a beloved character. He
Yeah.
was like a real protector, real this, real that. My goodness, that was a twist.
That was a twist.
I
That
completely
really
forgot about Dollhouse.
that spooked us out completely.
Yeah,
We were like,
it was like, no, not
Boyd.
Boyd.
Anyone but Boyd.
Not Boyd. That's happened a few times though.
on.
Whedon does that. It's like he plays with that trope along, like Mal's wife in Firefly, the captain's wife. That episode where
With
Christina
Christina
Hendricks.
Num num num. babe.
Would you settle down?
Num 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 num.
Settled. Oh, turns out Mick was a Boldie all along.
It was a good episode.
Yeah,
But again, that's a very brief twist.
Yeah.
You only think I mean, the crew never thinks she's good.
That's true. The crew was always like, nah,
Nah,
this
get her
is
out of here.
bullshit. This is bullshit. Obviously evil. But yeah. So you see that a couple of times. It pops up here and there in the Whedonverse. But yeah, that's a good one. Is
Boyd is a very good
Boyd
example.
is a great shout on that one. That didn't even occur to me. One of the ones that affected me massively when I was younger was from The Last Crusade in Indiana Jones. Bloody sexy Dr. Elsa turned out to be a Nazi all along.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and Sean Connery puts it very aptly. She talks in her sleep. And then Indiana Jones realizes that she slept with both him and his father.
Yeah.
That's a very uncomfortable moment for
It is.
Indiana Jones.
You didn't like that when that happened.
No.
In
I
the film.
didn't. In the film.
Not in real life.
It hasn't happened in real life yet. I don't know.
Good.
We'll have to wait and see.
Here's a good one from comics, Ben.
Go on.
Probably an iconic one. And, Ben, the best thing is we get to talk about Invincible again.
Yay!
Because it seems so long ago now, but the reveal that Omni-Man, if it was from the north side of Dublin, was a Boldie All Along, was quite a twist back in the day, if you remember.
Yeah. Well, we had a Superman complex. We thought he was going to be bloody Clark Kent with a mustache.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
were just watching Superboy growing up under the auspices of Superman, and then all of a sudden, here's a bloody twist for you. He was a baddie the whole time, Ben.
Bloody twist as well. Like,
And a very bloody
yeah.
twist. And then he killed all those Justice League guys, and then he punched his own son about a bit.
Yeah, that was a real dickbag move.
Although they very quickly undid it.
Well, then he had his whole redemption arc for the next
100
however
episodes.
many issues. Yeah, however many issues came after that. There's been quite a few of those as well, though. I remember the character Bulletproof in Invincible as well.
Yeah.
He murdered his own brother and
Oh, yeah.
parents and stuff like that.
He was always a bit of a...
He was an accidental villain all along, though. I
Yeah.
think he just had a hard knock life and then kind of mistakenly smashed people about. He was pretending to be his own twin brother all along. That was weird. That was an interesting twist.
Boyd is a good one. I'm still shook.
Yeah, boy, it is a good one. That was one. Yeah, that was weird because we spent so much time investing ourselves. I think that's probably what makes a good twist villain is someone that audience members or readers or consumers of that culture have really invested in or has become a fan favorite or it's just clicked with that person.
Was Mysterio really a good example then? Because everybody knew he was the baddie.
That's not true.
They did.
That's not true. Every comic book fan knew that Mysterio was a villain. But remember, a lot of people's experience of Marvel is the MCU. They don't necessarily have any kind of background for the villains that pop up. And people tend to trust Jake Gyllenhaal. He's got a very trustable face.
Very trustworthy face. In Alien, Ben,
Yes.
Ash the robot was very helpful right up until we figured out that he was just there trying to experiment.
Experimenting.
Yes, that's a
Yeah.
good Ash voice, actually.
Oh, okay.
Was that an accident?
That was an accident. Happy little accident.
And then they had Paul Reiser in Aliens 2.
Bloody Riser.
He was a bit dodgy. Like, you could tell he was going to be the bad guy all along.
He was a snake oil salesman.
That's not why I'm coming in. No, he wasn't a snake oil salesman, Ben. He wanted to impregnate all of the crew with evil alien eggs and bring them back to Earth.
Not great.
That's much worse than selling snake oil.
Yeah,
But,
that is actually.
They reversed that trope, Ben, in Stranger Things Season 2 by casting him as the seemingly slimy scientist who turned out not to be
Turns out
slimy,
he's not that bad.
which I thought was quite clever.
Yeah, it was enjoyable. I forgot that was Paul Reiser.
Yeah. You wanted to say, Ben, there about Samurai Jack.
Oh, I did actually. That's true. Like that's been played with a few times where I think one of the things that you need to make this trope work is kind of the naive hero or the trusting hero. And you'll see that a lot in Japanese culture, I think a lot more than in Western comic books. But when a hero starts out, certainly in an anime cycle or in a manga cycle, they find a mentor and they assume that this person is good, but they're often very easily fooled by a villain who decides to take advantage of their young and naive nature. Not in a creepy way, but in a get what they want way.
Not in a real Ken way.
It says wolf on my business card. There's no hiding in sheep's clothing, Michael. I can't find a pelt to fit.
Very good.
But yeah, so you'll see that quite a bit as we go through things like that. I think it's an interesting trope, and the naive hero often plays a part. But the one that I thought exemplified it the best was Samurai Jack. Samurai Jack is a fantastic TV series, just amazing. Even the season 4 Adult Swim version, I think, was an absolute masterpiece of a series. But there's one particular episode called, I think it's called The Swordsman or The Swordswoman. I can't remember.
The Scotsman.
No, The Scotsman is a great episode, though.
Let's just talk about that.
We should definitely break down the entire scene. We should definitely do a Samurai Jack episode because there's so many different cross-cultural tropes and stuff like that we could break down.
Now?
We'll do probably next week.
We're short on time.
Or the week after. But Samurai Jack and this episode follows the exploits of Jack having met his kind of equal in a female form. Would you settle down, Michael? Jesus.
Nom.
Oh.
Go on, yeah. Go on.
And he trusts her all through the episode and she helps him reach what he wants. But then, what a twist! It turns out it was a coup all along.
Was it a coup or a splinter of a coup?
It's a splinter of a coup, but it's the same principle. But I think what really stings in that one, Michael,
was a bloody KGB.
is that Samurai Jack thought he had found
right in the neck.
An ally
Yeah.
for the first time in a long time.
Oh.
And it breaks his little heart because Samurai Jack is eternally trusting. He believes in the best in humanity and doesn't actually see the villains. And that's what made season 10 so interesting because we repeat, or season 4 so interesting because we repeat that dynamic. But this time Jack has become world weary and jaded and doesn't trust people anymore. And then he meets, I'm going to forget her name. Asami? Is it? No, that's the other. That's Avatar The Last Airbender. Asa, who is a daughter of Aku. And he can't trust her. But she actually turns out to be a good egg all along.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting thing. Look, listen. It's a fascinating trope. What were some of the twists that traumatized you as young people? Not in your real lives, in your pop culture consumption.
Don't
say that because we know people are real bad.
We don't want to hear about that.
We don't need to hear any of that. But we'd really love to hear. Do you have any good inversions of the trope where people turned out to be good eggs all along? For example, Professor Snape from the Harry Potter series.
Oh, back and forth the whole time.
That's an L inversion. Do you think J.K. Rowling didn't know what she was doing and just decided at the end? I think that's what it was. But let us know what you thought down below. If you want to get in touch with us or if you want to hear anything that we talk about. What's her name?
Oh,
that's her. But
Ashi.
There you go. So it's not Asa, it's
no,
Ashi.
Ikra.
I can't remember.
Ashi.
Anyway.
One of them's Ashi, one of them's Ikra. One of them is the one who's his actual daughter, and one of them is the one who's just him in a disguise.
Yeah, the one who's green is the one in the disguise.
Him in a disguise.
Yeah,
should have known.
Should have known. Again, not
He's
necessarily a baddie all along, but it's a green person.
He's in a disguise. He should have bloody known, Samurai Jack.
Anyway, get in touch with us. What shocked you in your pop culture viewing? We are
Samurai
on our
Jack's
website.
A sexy bastard, isn't he? Look at him there with no shirt.
He's a very handsome man. Shomrabyug.com, SEOM or BEAG. We're on Instagram. You can get in touch with us there. We're also on Facebook. If you haven't had enough Michael and Benjamin's podcast this week, take a look and hang on for Wednesday where we drop our new Collecting Issues podcast.
On a different provider, Ben. That's on Podbean.
We're on a different. It's on Podbean, and you can check that out. We will be reviewing East of West, the 2013 ongoing series from Image Comics with Jonathan Hickman.
Is it still ongoing?
And Nick Tragoda. Yeah, it's on issue 41 of 46.
Oh, it's
not over yet. And you can hear more of us there where we discuss the wonderful post-apocalyptic western there.
Or is it wonderful, Ben?
Well, we'll find out. You'll have to listen on Wednesday.
I think you could have spent your load a bit there.
There's the hook. Anyway, talk to you. Bye.
Bye.